Hi, my name is Deborah Young, Justice for Families and Children. I'm a family advocate. I fight to end abuse to our children in and out of the system. I was also a victim of domestic violence, and my children also, of the court systems. Family court, Child Protective Services Court. It's a huge, horrific, and sad problem that our kids in America are being stolen from the good families. It is said to be the equivalent of the death penalty. In fact, 1 in every 25 families are going to be investigated by Child Protective Service for child neglect and abuse this year alone. Child abuse and neglect is a serious and reprehensible problem in society by the very system that is supposed to protect them. A child's chances of being killed from abuse and neglect dramatically increase in the custody of Child Protective Services. There's a lot of research online showing that the ratio is 6 to 1, meaning a child is 600% more likely to die and be abused in Child Protective Services than with their own family. This experiment of big government going after the after the most vulnerable children of our society began in 1974. Walter Mondale promoted the Child Abuse and Prevention Act, which began feeding massive amounts of federal funding to states to set up programs to combat child abuse and neglect. From that came Child Protective Services, as we know it today, corrupt. After the bill passed, Mondale himself expressed the concerns that it could be misused. He worried that it could lead to states to create a business of our children. Then in 1997, President Clinton passed the Adoption and Safe Families Act. This is the most horrific law. This initiative is to offer cash bonuses to states for every child they have adopted out of foster care. They actually call them incentive bonuses to adopt and take our children. So here we are, more children than take more money. A whole new industry was put into motion, the selling of our children. Government has no business telling parents how to raise their children. This goes against 6,000 years of recorded human history. Mathematics do not lie. Families that have their civil rights violated through family court proceedings, and the fact that all due process and constitutional rights and our God-given rights are violated and manipulated by family court judges, district attorneys, commissioners, lawyers, Child Protective Services departments, and court-appointed attorneys and therapists, psychiatrists. They are not working for the clients, but have helped incriminate people and grandparents falsely. There are numerous reports, articles, documentaries which describe the systematic abuse, children illegally taken, and criminal misconduct occurring in family courts, not only in Philadelphia, but nationwide. An overhaul of the nation's child protective system and family courts is long overdue. The preventable deaths of thousands of children demand the attention of you, policymakers, elected officials at all levels. In fact, America has the worst child abuse record in the industrialized world. Children are needlessly dying, and we look the other way. The media will cover only a death, not the abuse, not the realities. Child protection and family court is where more violence is created, promoted, and encouraged. Our system is broken, and we as a society do nothing but throw monetary incentives into the fires to further the abuse. Parents cry out. Children cry out. Advocates scream. Yet no one hears the cry of the innocents lost. 67% of all child abuse deaths has Child Protective Services involvement, and they are never held accountable, even when negligence is proven. My own children are victims of the system, and their father whom abused my children at visits. While at one visit I got a frantic call from my 7-year-old, screaming, "Daddy is choking me." Excuse me. And beating my 8-year-old son. I called police and rushed over there. Then they took a special victims unit. They found that the abuse, his hand marks were around my daughter's throat. He never got arrested, even though it was found. Went to judges to get PFAs. In fact, they denied it. This is one of the PFAs, hearing only, temporary order denied for my daughter, even though his hand marks were around her throat. I went to everybody, Child Protective Service. I went to Child Protective Service. I went to courts. I went to police. I went to therapists. Everywhere you would think a victim would go, and nobody helped me and my children. In fact, they gave him custody in Child Protective Services Court. They got involved because of false accusations, and they gave my children to the very abuser who's been arrested numerous times for stalking, harassment, terroristic threats, trying to kill me, and hurting my children. He never got any punishment for. In fact, I'm going to read this to you real quick about my daughter from, I'm not going to say my daughter's name. She wrote this in 2307. The first time he called me and treated me bad, I felt bad, and I did not like him, and I wanted to hit him very, very hard. All the names he calls me, my mom, my brother, here are some of the names. He called me, I can't say, he called her a fat, B-I-T-C-H. All the names in the book. These letters and everything were given to Child Protective Services and the courts. They didn't care about my children. In fact, they re-victimized us over and over and over and over and over again. This is from a therapist that I took my children to. The client is a 9-year-old boy who's intelligent and cooperative. He is anxious and occasionally has nightmares. He elicits no psychotic symptoms, but he gets easily irritated and has a conflicted relationship with his father, who he fears and wishes to avoid. These are just some of the many, many reports me and my children had. And Child Protective Services and family courts didn't look at anything. Not even the police reports, doctor reports, nothing. They didn't care enough about my children. They don't care enough about any child, especially if you're a victim of domestic violence. They're going to make sure you get re-victimized in these courts. I'm an advocate now. My children are finally home, safe and loved, but they are suffering emotional distress, post-traumatic stress disorder, anger, and depression from the years of living with the abuser and being separated from the non-abusing parent. I had documented evidence of what the abuser, the courts, and CPS has done to my family. Documented evidence include court transcripts, evaluations, over 200 police reports, lawsuits, notarized letters from witnesses, child therapist reports, pictures and videos of the abuse, the stalking, the harassment, statements from children to doctors, reports and emails that I subpoenaed how the social workers lied in court. My children are one of the lucky ones. They're alive now. They are alive and home with a non-abusive parent. An overhaul of the nation's child protective system and court systems is needed now and is long overdue. National review of the nation's child protective system and courts and new federal policies and resources need to be reconstructed for safeguarding the children who depend on us. In the present child protective systems and family courts, children will suffer abuse, rape, torture, burn, and be murdered by these agencies for federal funding. The number of cases per 100,000 you can find on the National Center on Child Abuse and Neglect in Washington. That is the website you can find that on. I have hundreds of pages of children's names that have been beaten, broken, drowned, burned, strangled, starved, and neglected. All of them are dead. They're in these posters. These are not even half of what I have. I have over 300 posters of children's pictures. There is no accountability for these agencies. The headlines are unbelievable, you see in the newspapers every day. Danielle Kelly was the worst in Philadelphia. Her picture is right here. This is her. And social workers went to jail for this. Stop the funding and adoption and put it into preventive. Put accountability back into the system and give non-abusing parents, advocates, and especially children a place to speak of abuse within the system. Give the parents back the right to protect their children from systematic abuse. There's no possible way to have a money-generating system protect children. There can be no true child protection when a government agency is given virtually unchecked power, no accountability, and operates in secrets in these courtrooms. In order to provide equal justice under the law and to have punishment that is appropriate for the crime in the best interest of the children, that we pass comprehensive legislation to protect our children from sexually violent offenders and child abusers whom endanger the welfare of the child. Child Protective Services is one of those abusers. The family court system is one of those abusers. The judges are those abusers. Legislation needs to start with investigating the problem with CPS and the court systems. Who gives the victims, our children, to the abusers? Now to Congress, you need to really investigate the problem. Our children, our grandchildren, our grandchildren's children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren can be affected by this. Everybody's children can be affected by this. The money is humongous how much they get. It's in the trillions to sell our kids. This must stop now. These children all are dead thanks to our system.